Hello, I'm Giovanni Montero, and welcome to People into Perspective. Here today is my guest, Maggie Leiteritz. Hello.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming. Why did you want to become a counselor?
Well, I actually was a high school science teacher at first, so I've been in education for 27 years, and I taught science for 4 years. And then after I taught high school science, I moved on to be a dean of students in a high school, and I was in that position for about 9 years. And I think one of the reasons I wanted to move from being a classroom teacher to being a dean was I like the one-on-one contact with kids, and I really liked being a dean mainly because I had pretty good classroom management skills, and I thought I worked well with discipline issues. And then after being a dean for 9 years, I decided to go back to school to get another degree so I could be a guidance counselor. And again, I like that it provided me the one-on-one working with students and trying to help them work through their own problems.
Right. What do you do on a daily basis, like as a counselor?
Well, it varies day to day. It's a job that really multitasking is really important, just because you might have a set plan in a calendar,
Right,
and
yeah.
you might have appointments and all that, but if a student comes in and they're upset, then that is the first thing that you need to tend to. But typically, I would say a day looks like definitely seeing students. Students sign up to see me, or I may call them down, talk about their grades. We do a lot of college application work with kids. We, as I said, talk about their grades and how they can improve, and study skills, things like that. I do a lot of class changes, and I attend 504 meetings, IEP meetings. I meet with parents. I answer a lot of emails.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that gives you kind of the gist of what we do.
That's a lot. Where did you go to college? Because you said you were a dean of students and a science teacher.
Well, so originally, after high school, I majored in botany, actually, and that's the study of plants. And I went away to Eastern Illinois University, and it didn't quite work out the way I had planned. And I came back and I went to Joliet Junior College for 2 years. And my degree was in, actually, it was horticulture, which is the study of plants in like the landscape, ornamental horticulture. So it was a lot of identifying trees and designing landscapes for homes, because that was my initial love, believe it or not. When I was a kid, I liked to work in the yard at home, and I liked to plant flowers and cut the grass, and so I decided that eventually I should probably get into that field and do it for a living. So after Joliet Junior College, then I went to Southern Illinois at Carbondale to finish the degree. So I earned a bachelor's degree it was in the agriculture college, and my actual degree was called Plant and Soil Science. And then from there, I went and worked in the field, and I worked for landscape companies, and I decided that I really didn't like it that much, and it was a lot of hard work. Not that counseling isn't, but it was more physical work, long hours, and my second love was always to be a teacher. I kind of had that in the back of my mind, mainly because my older sister, who I greatly respect, she started out as a teacher, and she now works for the State Board of Education. So I kind of watched her evolve in the teaching field, and because I respect her so much and I look up to her, I decided to go down the path of being a teacher. So I had to go back to school and get a degree in get a teaching certificate at St. Xavier University. And then from there, I earned a master's degree at Governor State University in administration. And then finally, after that, I earned another master's degree at Lewis University in school counseling.
Right.
That was a long answer to your question, but
It was. That's fine, but I can see why you didn't want to become a landscaper, because my dad was actually a landscaper, and he was like, it's just a lot of hard work, and I'm gone for a long time. So instead, he got his license to drive buses and trucks. So now he's doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, landscaping is, especially it's quite opposite of what I'm doing, because like, as you know, in the summer now, I have a lot of free time to, pursue some of my passions in life, and part of it is gardening, and I like to play golf and cycle. But when you're in landscaping, you're working from 7 in the morning until 7 at night during the summer, and typically spring, summer, and fall. Those are the high seasons. So it's a 60-hour-a-week at least job.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of time.
So why did you what would you think is harder for people? What jobs would you say is harder for people that you've done, like the landscaping and the counseling?
Well, I mean, they're different
Yeah.
in a lot of ways. I mean, the landscaping was a lot of physical labor.
Yeah.
And, oftentimes I think about, what if I were in that field now? How would that be on my body and my mind? And because it is such a physically demanding field. But it's very different than counseling. And I definitely find more gratification in the counseling field, working with students and trying to help them figure out their problems and help advise them and kind of steer them in the right direction and get them on the right path to find a good career in college or trade school, or whatever their path is going to be.
Speaking of students coming to you and talking about their college, have students came to you with problems that they wouldn't tell anyone else? Like if they had trouble with grades or at home, would they?
Yes, yeah. We get that a lot. So we counselors also deal with, I think I talked about, the academics in the college and career counseling piece, but we get a lot of students who come in with personal and social emotional issues that they want to talk through.
Really?
So it is it's daily that we're working with kids that have kids these days just have a lot on their minds, and they have to deal with a lot of different variables in their home life, and it can be a very challenging time. Sometimes you might hear people say that high school is some of the best times of your life, and I don't believe that. I think it's sometimes mainly the most challenging years of your life. So yes, kids come in and talk about a lot of different things.
Yeah, I feel like students nowadays, they wouldn't tell anyone. They would just keep it all in.
Well,
that's what I feel like.
some kids do. They don't necessarily want to disclose information,
Yeah, right.
or they may not feel comfortable with an adult to yet, disclose it. But I think, it's not like a student might just come in to me for the first time and just kind of, blurt out all their issues.
Yeah.
I work hard at building a rapport with kids so that they can learn to trust me, and I think it's kind of starts there. It's a process. So typically I find when I build a relationship and a rapport with a student, they feel more comfortable in sharing some of their challenges.
Right. Do you feel that the students that you help felt more comfortable on what they were dealing with, or if they're having troubles at home, you would talk to the parents to see what was the problem? Do you think they would be better for them?
Well, depending on the situation, definitely I think kids feel better when they come in to discuss their problems. I tell kids I can't solve their problems, unfortunately. I can advise them, I can help them, I can support them. And part of that is some kids need more support than what I can give them, because typically I don't see students on a weekly basis for that type of social emotional counseling. So sometimes a student may need to be referred to an outside therapist to deal with some of these issues that are bigger than what a high school counselor would deal with.
All right. Thank you for coming on People in Perspective. I'm Giovanni Montero, and this is my host, Maggie Leiteritz. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you.